Let's see. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to put an overhead 27 inches for my snare drum. Hey everyone. As the title suggests, today's video is about how I record and mix my snare drum. I just spent some time finishing up a new song, and I decided it would be a good candidate for a video. For anyone who's interested, I'll post a link to my Bandcamp, where you can find this song along with other music that I wrote. Today I'll be talking about mics, heads, tuning, and I'll talk a little about how I process overheads. This is my blue snare. It's a 15-ply maple shell with a standard bearing edge. Loudness and focus are the main differences between this one and its 10-ply variant. Because of the greater mass, there's less energy loss in the shell, resulting in a more projected tone. For this recording, I tuned the snare to about 170 Hz. On the batter side, I typically use 2-ply coated heads. In this case, that happens to be a pinstripe. I tend to avoid using moon gels. I like to keep my snare wide open and obnoxious. On the snare side, I'm using an Ambassador snare side head. Up top, I'm using an MD421 aimed at the center of the head. This mic certainly has its own character and may not fit every situation. On this channel, I'm boosting the fundamental with another bump around 8K to bring out the crack of the rim, and a few dips around 350 and 530. For compression, I'm using an 8:1 ratio, resulting in roughly 5 dB in gain reduction, and I'm using a gate on this channel in an effort to combat hi-hat bleed. To capture the buzz, I'm using an RE320 underneath, aimed at the center of the head at 45 degrees. I have the drum rotated so that the wires are furthest away from the mic. Otherwise, it tends to sound more snappy and abrasive than I'd like. I'm also using a gate on the 320 to reduce some of the kick that becomes present after compression. I'm using an EQ mostly just to boost around the 15K range, but I also have a few dips in some of the overtones to clean it up. After that, I'm using a compressor at 8:1 with a gain reduction of about 5 dB. Sometimes I flip the phase of the top mic, but in this case I ended up flipping the phase of the bottom mic. It just depends how I treat the overheads. For overheads, I'm using an Octava MK319 and an MK220 positioned roughly 1.3 meters away from the center of the batter head. To tame some of the harshness around 4K, I'm starting with Soothe on this chain. After that, I'm using an EQ with a high pass starting around 300 at 6 dB per octave, and a few narrow dips around 150, 340, and 470, and a boost around 15K. I decided to try out Renaissance Axe on this channel with an attack set to 8. Also on this channel, I'm using in phase to set the snare sound in the overheads 2 milliseconds behind the snare top mic. I look for a position that caused the most cancellation in the lower frequencies, then flip the phase to hear the results. Given the room I recorded in, I probably should have lowered the overheads to reduce some of the reflections. I think most of my efforts were combating the tone of the room. Furthermore, that 2 milliseconds converts to about 0.7 meters or just over 27 inches, which really isn't achievable without some sort of plug-in or time shift. Once I lower the overheads for a future recording, I'll be looking for another position based on the calculation. This new position should cause the least or most cancellation within a more realistic distance from the kit. I definitely recommend trying a time-shifting plugin on overheads. I just use InPhase because that's what I have, but I found the visual to be helpful. Alright, that's all I have for today. As always, if you have any suggestions or if there's anything you'd like me to cover, feel free to do the thing down below. And down below, and thank you for watching. If there's anything you'd like me to... Why am I spinning? That's stupid.